All right, so we're going to tune it into our guest here. Former defensive end, played 15 years in the league, 5 Pro Bowls, 3 first-team All-Pros, knows a lot when it comes to adding in pressures against against a lot of these offensive, fronts. And so joining us, John Abraham joins us on the podcast. Gotta give you props, John. Looking at you from week 1 and just how energetic the place was up and in Atlanta, that had to have been something fun. Like when you kind of come to an atmosphere like that in the ATL, I mean, that's the best part, for all the football fans out there and really repping the Falcons, because they're definitely different this year. They're very intriguing to me.
Yeah, it was good to, I actually live in Atlanta, but seeing my face on that screen again and feeling that crowd and the energy, and it felt good, man. But they played well, but they played a rookie quarterback, so yeah. I'm very skeptical because one thing I can say, these were probably the best 4 I'm not first round picks, but the 2 first round picks and the 2 prior picks, Watt and Billy Badass, like those 4 guys really showed what this team is going to be for the next 3, 4, 5 years if they can keep everybody together. And that's what you don't really see in football. Like, you see so many people come in together, and then one guy goes here, one guy goes there. These guys will be here a few years together. So that's definitely a big attribute to Fontenot for going out and getting what he wanted, because everybody asked me, like, was it a smart trade to go up and get the James Pierce Jr.? I said, hell yeah. I said the last 10 years they've been trying to get them a pass rusher in here. Like, I don't know what. Yes, why not take the advantage of just doing that? Everybody thought about that, about Matt Ryan. Was Matt Ryan a good choice? Yes, he was. So it's a lot of things that they think. Now, they had their times that they picked some people that they thought was going to be great pass rushers, but they didn't end up that way. But I think they did a good job this year. But I think this game right here was kind of a fluke game. It was a good game. They only scored 1 touchdown. You know what I mean? And they had 5 field goals. And not saying this team isn't going to be good, but it's still growing pains. No preseason. That's probably why we like, even what you're talking about Kansas City. Last year I was all on Kansas City, but like I did a pre-season. And I was like, I don't think Kansas City going to be that way this year. Just because the offseason, I didn't see a lot of working out. I saw, like, Holmes, with the kids, and we saw Kelsey doing the movies and doing all this other stuff. And I was like, they just don't seem like the same Kansas City Hunger team. They seem like they kind of got comfortable. But I also feel like in a couple of years, we'll see Mahomes get back to that Mahomes years. I think right now they just got to start over. Like, they're kind of like, I think they're just tired. Think about it. Think about Brady didn't make it to the Super Bowl every year, even though they got 6 championships. He went about 10 times when he was in New England. There were years he didn't go. They still had good years. And last year would kind of showed me they were scraping and winning games. So I was like, yeah, this is definitely not the Kansas City that I'm used to. And they just scraped into the Super Bowl. And now this year they start off 0-2, which is bad because they never have in Mahomes' era, but that doesn't mean they're going to be a bad team. But I just think they're definitely, like you said before, everybody's catching up with them.
Yeah, and it is kind of interesting because they're like, again, I think lots of teams that I know, like, that are getting better. I mean, the Chargers themselves are getting better. There are other teams in the AFC and even in the NFC. I mean, I did not even expect that from Detroit this week. I was like, okay, they looked like they played a little bit more conservative. I saw a lot of, the short pass games for Jared Goff, but then it was like, then they opened up a can of whoop-ass, and it was just unbearable for the Bears up in that defense.
Just like he said, they play in Chicago, man. I'm sorry. Chicago is just not a good team. Everybody think Caleb Williams, he played good last week, but you got to see the team he played against last week. This week he played a defense that's going to be great, and you played an attitude-type team, and you saw that that's the kind of quarterback he is. Like, we try to make it like we give these guys, because they're the first pick overall, they get so much leeway. Like, okay, well, he's going to be good. We'll wait for it. I'm looking like, nah. And then somebody said something about the way he dressed. That's just talking about professionalism. It's not talking about, like, him being a bad person because he wears his, like, shirt hanging out there or he got his socks down. You're a quarterback, so you want to be the most professional person on the squad. You want people to look at you like, okay, well, this guy, we weird because we'll say, like, oh, he looking like this, so he ain't studying. Or he doing like this, so he ain't doing this. Like, they want most quarterbacks be so particular. And you see, like, they have like they have like a consistency. You know, Mahomes do his same celebration before every game. You know, you just see Brady do his same celebration. You just see different stuff that you want to see in a great quarterback. And it starts from small things, and that's what people are trying to say. It has nothing to do with his personality. Like, be whoever you want to be outside of football. You know, when you're on the field, you're representing the whole thing, kind of like with Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson might have lost his job Daniel Jones played his butt off. I'm sorry, like if you see how
he did.
You see him playing in a good offense, like this is a good offense for him. He ain't got to worry about running the ball. He's passing the ball. He isn't getting hit. I was watching the tape, and I'm like, dude, Daniel Jones might be the quarterback for real. I was like, and Anthony Richardson might not ever touch that football if he again.
Yeah, and you know, it's unfortunate with Anthony Richardson because I said this several times that I was like, for a lot of our young quarterbacks that come into the league, I mean, a lot of these young athletes, there are such high expectations that are involved because franchises, you know, they pay money into it, they invest in it, right? And so you look at a lot of these players, and I feel for a lot of the coaches and up into the staffs, like they try to build the best roster they can with the best gentleman that's out there on the field because you're out there trying to win every matchup of every snap and trying to be the outcome up and in it. So speaking of quarterbacks, you got a chance to watch Michael Penix up front. And I got to tell you, I love what I see. The pocket awareness, the accuracy out of his hand. He almost threw for 300 yards, John. And I'm like, I was watching this offense, and I don't know if you're seeing the same thing I'm seeing, but what I saw from some of the play calling is I watched Penix sling that thing, and he looked comfortable. But then I'm watching some of these spurts where I'm like, am I looking at Zach? Am I looking at, you know, Raheem? Like some of those, they started getting smaller on some of these plays. And I was just like, come on, Penix is like, he's thrown to a lot of these windows. I know communication and gelling a lot of with the offensive players like Drake London and others. Sometimes that does take time, but I felt like they could have stole that game away against Tampa. So did you think there was a change in play calling? What did you see in that game? Because I was like, Penix is in full control in there.
Well, what you saw, they couldn't run the ball, so they had to change it up. You know, like I think we got a little tricked on the first beginning of the game when, you know, Bijan scored so quick. We thought it was going to be a blowout. We thought, it was like, oh, look, they're going to run up down the field. But I think the defense played so well. That's why he was able to be on the field a lot. He said it a long time ago, and he's doing it now. He's trying to get Pitts into the game. And then they got to think about you want to get Mooney back in the game too, but Mooney been out so long, so you're trying to get him in the rotation. He have so many weapons. You know, it's just tough. You know, like you still got Ray out there. You got there are so many people, but you know, Kyle Pitts is his guy. Bijan's got to get his touches. You want to get Algiers in. Just think of all these names I said. And think as a quarterback, you want all these guys to like you. He's 20,000 years old because, you know, he's an older second year guy. You know, he's a little older. Yep. But his I guess his thing is he is just so tuned in. If you watch this guy, whether they're winning, whether they're losing, you don't see any difference. You don't see a knock in his level of his play or his decision making. And I think he trusts his receivers. And if he don't have to run, he ain't going to. But when he put it on the dot, he put it on the dot. I think they played smart that game. I think last week could have easily been a win, and that's why Koo wasn't kicking this game. And I love Koo. Like Koo is like a legend here in Atlanta, man. He can do anything he wants to except kick a ball now. But but I'm saying from last week to this week, I see him getting better. I saw the improvement, and to say that the defense can win a game for you, and like I said, but this was a rookie quarterback in my mind. So this is what they're supposed to do. I saw a lot of times the line shifted away, and they got free rushes on the quarterback, and they was able to get him down. That's the big thing about it. Big difference from last week. Last week, Baker was running all on. They was losing contained. Baker was running outside, and then they'll lose in the middle. Baker will run. But that's the kind of thing, the difference between quarterbacks, but also them keeping contained in that pocket and making and giving the ball back to the offense in good positions every time, having a couple turnovers by young guys. You know, I'm ready to see Jesse Bates come back in, and, you know, and I think Jesse Bates doing a great job with the young guys like Watts, and Watts coming out looking like just a professional already. But I knew he was going to be that way. The guys that been in college 4 or 5 years, they tend to have a little more, you know, maturity about them. So Penix, to me, I know I ran around the question, but Penix is definitely that guy. I didn't know at first, but you know, I watched kind of his college, and it just his poise. His poise, like I seen him took a terrible hit. Somebody hit him real hard, and he just got up, dusted off, and just like got back. Ain't nothing happened. I said, I like that guy already because he looked light in the ass to me, but he can take a hit, and you love to see you're a quarterback.
It's funny because last year I was actually saying this. Chase is my witness for this one because I said when it came to Michael Penix, I watched the game against the Dolphins in the preseason last year, and when I watched all pressure in his face and yet still throws a dime like through the needle, I was just like, this guy's completely different. Like, he's not phased. Everybody was concerned about his injury, statuses, but I don't see a whole lot of that. Like, I see a lot of a quarterback that's poised, a quarterback that has undergone a lot of these experiences. And I think that's why, too, in colleges, when you get prepared for that, it really means a lot on the field. So, as a former defensive end, my big thing when Atlanta drafted 2 edge rushers in the first round, Jalen Walker and then James Pierce, I watched the program last night. And look, I'll be completely honest. It was almost getting me to a point where I was a little bored because I didn't see a whole lot of the offense spark. And I was just like, come on, man, the play calling's got to change up. But I love, John, the defense. They added in pressures. Somebody was saying that, when it came to Jeff Ulbrich, and I think maybe this is a part of his game plan, is he's still trying to look for, a 15, 16 sacks a year guy. But what I thought was great when he answered the question about that. Look, I need guys to get pressures, whether sacks or not. I need them to get to the quarterback. I need them to really ripple that offense and find ways to really win in the trenches. Like Jeff Ulbrich, I was very impressed last night. What did you think of that?
Well, I've been speaking highly of him since he was with the Jets last year. And think about the Jets had a collage of pass rushers at one point. When he was there, he could bring anybody from anywhere. Even the safeties was coming. You got Diablo that's incredible. And I like Caden Ellis, but when Diablo, you can see the difference of speed and the difference of a natural linebacker and one that's kind of been transferred to a linebacker. You have a guy that can play every position, but then you have a guy that's in his position. If you watch how Diablo fits that middle, ridiculous. But I can say, as I watch Jeff in San Francisco, in Atlanta, back in Atlanta, coming back, he always wants to have pressure. And I think this game right here was more like a mentality game more than, they got a lot of sacks. I wasn't really, like, a lot of people were just super excited about the sacks. It was me that they didn't let the quarterback get out of it. It was no contain. Yeah. I'm like, it's the Vikings. This is what I expected. If you want to come out of the game, it had to be on J.J. McCarthy because you look at last week, everybody thought it was going to be just a great team. I'm like, nah, y'all just kind of watching. A tackle missing. You got young guys in here. You got other guys coming in here. Like, everybody got a taste. And that's the big thing that I want to see. And this gives this defense when they come to work tomorrow, because they Monday. Yep, when they come to work Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever they come to work. Whenever they come back to work, they have something to talk about. They can get an identity. Now we can talk a little trash now. Hey, JP, man, I'm glad you did that. Boom, let's go. Now they see what they can be. It can be a myth, but they can make it reality now. Because like they say in football, once you put something on paper, or once you put something on film, you got to do that every damn time. So they showed they can do it. Against Baker, they did not play well. Against Baker, they did not play well. They should, like you said, that could have easily been a game if the kicker would have made right and they would have kept Baker in the pocket a little more. So this week, it was like, we're going to attack. You could tell when Jeff on the sideline, they kept putting the camera on because they knew that, look, this is Jeff. Okay, this is not a Penix game. This is Jeff Ulbrich game. Up, go to Jeff, because that's the kind of intensity I was saying when I talked to Jeff I talked to him last year. I was at the Jets last year, and I got to talk to Jeff, and he was just talking about his mentality. He was talking about, like we talked about, we both of us got drafted in 2000 together. So I'm always going to cheer for him. I'm going to cheer for AG. I'm going to cheer for Raheem. I'm going to cheer for Ty Bowles. All these guys that I met my first year in the league, I'm cheering for. So, but the experience is shown there. And like I said, he had almost the same defensive players, besides like having the Williams at D tackle, but everyone else, like, having the Williams compared to Diablo when he had with the Jets, you had the Huff, you had Johnson over here. Now you have multiple guys. You got Abakady, you got everybody. You got everybody you want. Like it's just so many guys that they have that can come off the edge. And a lot of these guys might not be here next year, but a lot of these guys can get good contracts somewhere else if they just show they can play well in this defense.
And that's what's great about it, because, it's funny. When I look at some of these coaches, and, usually I always try to do this. What is your identity? And I see it from offensive coaches, you watch clever play calling up on offense. Like that, they're like, especially from, like guys like Jim Harbaugh, you could see how he's evaluating every single snap and is like, that didn't work this way. I'm going to work it this way. And then I look at Raheem Morris and then with Jeff Ulbrich as his right-hand man. I'm like, they're playing a lot of containment football. And I'm like, somebody's like, they're barely rushing the football. The quarterback can't seem to, he's obviously shaken up and he can't even get the ball out of his hand, quick, but he's putting a lot of pressure upon it. I'm like, that is a Raheem defense right there. Like that I can see. Speaking of the Jets, because I know it didn't really look pretty this past weekend, but go to toe-to-toe against Aaron Rodgers, who's been in the league for so long, a well-ran organization like Pittsburgh for so long, like a very prestigious franchise, to come off and say Pittsburgh's defense was having a hard time, like getting pressures on the Jets O-line, was like, I can kind of feel some fierce feistiness out of Aaron Glenn, like how he's putting that team together. Like, what are you kind of seeing from the Jets? Because I know I kind of put it this way. This will be a fun team. I don't think they're quite there yet, but I know Aaron Glenn is going to work a lot of the pieces, get everything together, and then maybe potentially make up a jump. But they may be a fun team to watch all season long, just kind of seeing from play schemes, toughness, and really kind of getting after a lot of these opposing offenses.
I think right now a lot of people are in fear mode. What happened to Gibson, getting cut for making mistakes, I think watching the guys, they didn't like they was attacking as much as it was in Pittsburgh. It looked like they was kind of sitting, waiting, and like even Sauce missing a simple sack. This guy tackled people open field all the time. So Josh Allen just did a spin move and I'm like, dude, I know AG was like, you got to stay upfield on the quarterback. That's just common sense. Like even I know you're a cornerback and it's different, but open field tackles are what you do. So I just saw a lot of players scared to make mistakes right now because he made it pretty prevalent that if you're going to make us lose, you're out of here. So a lot of guys are really just playing their position. A lot of guys scared to really try a big play or make a big play because they're like, I don't want to mess up, and then I mess up and I'm gone. So I think that's what it was this week. I think this week was more of like, okay, we got Josh. This is our playbook. This is what we'll do. We want to do this. We want to do that. And I think it got into a lot of the guys' head. Like, if I mess up, I don't want to be the guy next one to be cut or this, that, and this. So I think after this game, they'll relax and they'll be fine. But also, I think Aaron's going to need a few years. Now, I don't think people thinking they could just – it's a first-year coach. They want us to come in here and be great, and he's Aaron Glenn. He's going to do all this. He's going to do that. First of all, you got to get the personnel he wants. He has a quarterback right now that he thinks he wants, and he played well last week. He went out this week with a concussion. But that's the kind of stuff that people got to understand. You only give people a year to expect them to have goal. I mean – think about Belichick. If he didn't have Tom Brady, we don't know what that was. If you think about it, I used to love playing the Patriots. Like I'm like, we're gonna play the Patriots today. Yes. Then Tom Brady came in. I was like, please, I don't want to play the Patriots today. So give this man a chance to create the team that he wants. Because I think right now just have a lot of young guys in there. Two guys just got paid. They played great against Pittsburgh. But I thought those were two equally matched teams though. Like, Buffalo is actually an extraordinarily good team. Like, we can't front about Buffalo being – you saw the game with Baltimore. They just play – like, come on, they're an extraordinarily good team. So, we can't really look at this as like, oh, my God, they're horrible. No, they played probably the ex-MVP last year? I'm like, come on. They put up 41 last week. They only put up 30 on us. Hey, I ain't saying it's wrong. Offense wasn't clicking today like we wanted to. We only had like 100-yard rushing, but that's cool. Like, we got through this. Now let's get back into attack mode. We got New England. We got all these. We got Miami that should be a walkthrough for us. Come on.
Yeah.
We got teams in our division that we should look good on. So don't take this game right here too hard. But, let's just know we got to see them again.
Yeah, absolutely. And so because I love it with familiarity because you get a chance to see like what their scheme, their play calling, and all the rest of it from top to bottom. You get a chance to preview and see that. Now it's like, okay, how we make this up the second bout. It's actually kind of crazy because I'm like, man, Miami is, I've said this before, just to make it jokingly, they're literally the Lamborghini of the NFL that has no traction on tires, especially when they're playing a team in the Midwest, like Indianapolis or even some other team, even like Buffalo in these cold days. I live in Denver, And once it snows, it's like, I need the 4x4. I need all of that stuff. So finally, a team that I think was interesting to me, the Arizona Cardinals right now. They've already gotten themselves into a pretty good start, in my opinion. I think the NFC West is interesting because San Francisco, we know with Kyle Shanahan, the Rams and Sean McVay knows how to figure out on the offense. The Cardinals, for whatever reason, like some of the draft picks that they ended up getting this past draft is like, I can see the identity with Jonathan Gannon. Now I'm starting to kind of see Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride. This offense looks like it's focused, it's plugged in, and this team might actually kind of spoils for some NFC teams this year. What do you think?
I see the pieces, but I don't see it yet. I don't see what you see, if I can say it like that. First of all, I think being in the NFC West, I watched the Rams. They didn't look great, but I also think that Adams is going to be better. Adams definitely making like the whole team better. I can see a lot of even it's just like Seattle don't look like, it's just like I don't know yet. Because I watched Arizona, and I'm just not a believer yet, because I think they just haven't played anyone yet. I think they're still in preseason mode. I seen Kyler Murray break some good runs and make a couple good plays, but I didn't see what I wanted to see. I want to see more of real football.
Right.
Sitting there passing it, good drives, nothing, and they got Calais Campbell back, so the defense definitely going to have a different mentality. The young guy coming in, Zero, he coming in playing well already. So they have a lot of good things, but that's what Arizona has had for a few years. They keep getting good guys coming in, and we keep saying the same things every year. Like, oh my God, Kyler, he'll have one good game, and we'll hold our hat on that for the next year. Yeah. I just. That's why I said for me, it's kind of like he hasn't showed me yet. Give me the week 8 to see Arizona and see if Seattle can, bounce back. Let's see if the Rams are really what it is. In San Francisco, I think Jones played pretty good. I mean, he played good enough to win, but also this is what hurt me with San Francisco. Y'all played the Saints. The Saints is not going to be a good team.
Yeah.
Like Kellen Moore team is not going to, and y'all played them kind of like this. I know y'all didn't have your quarterback. I know y'all didn't have Kettle, but this is a team that y'all should have watched. CMC played well. Glad to see he's back and glad to see he's healthy. But saying the game was that close. It's just kind of like, So I'm like, the NFC West is just like, I don't know if y'all looking all amazing anymore.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, like I said, I think there's going to be definitely some surprises up and into the NFL. Lots of teams that I know getting better. Some of them that kind of are getting there, but don't quite have the identity fully in set. And then for some of them, it's just kind of like, I mean, I can already see it. I made the prediction. Miami's probably fighting for their jobs right now with McDaniel and even with Chris Greer. So I might see a change there. Or there might be some that may have a GM change, maybe might address for other players to now come in and really work out their identity to fulfill that. But, again, there's plenty of football left. It's only just, week 2. We're getting ready for week 3. So we'll see what happens, on the long stretch. But anything can happen. That's why the NFL is always known for not for long for some teams. So we'll see what happens up from here. But, John, really appreciate you for coming on by, man, and spending time and really giving your expertise up and onto this one. Really appreciate it. And, man, like I said, that had to have been a fun atmosphere up and in there in the ATL, man. But let's see what them birds can do this whole season, man. I'm really hoping. I had my high hopes. This could be a playoff team up from here. I have a good feeling on it, man. But appreciate you for coming on by. Take care of yourselves and enjoy the rest of the week, my friend.
Appreciate it, man. Y'all have a good one.
Absolutely.